Hey, what is up guys? It's your boy Speed here, and today we're going to be looking at 3 of the most slept on heroes in Dota right now. To teach you guys a little bit about these 3 heroes, I'm going to be looking at clips of various pro players and talk about a few fights for each of the heroes that really makes the hero stand out. So hopefully at the end of this video, you'll have a little bit of inspiration for the item build you can go on the hero, how to play the hero, and what makes these heroes very strong right now. All of these heroes have positive win rates on DotaBuff, some of them very positive win rates on DotaBuff. And now I want to tell you guys a little bit about DotaPlus from Overwolf. This is a free stats app you guys can download right now that's going to show you your stats for the last 3 months. So if you want to know your games played, your MMR, your win rate, your XPM, your GPM, all of these things you need to track to know how well you're doing and what you need to change to gain MMR, you can get for absolutely free. On top of that, the biggest reason why you need to download DotaPlus, at least for me, is the ban suggestions. Basically, it tells you what the enemy team is good at. It tells you their best heroes, what they've been winning with. You just ban it. You might be wondering why your good heroes, why your best heroes keep getting banned. It's because of DotaPlus. The enemy team is using it and banning out your best heroes. So go download DotaPlus right now, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, so the first hero I want to talk about that I think is particularly slept on is Darkseer. What's really notable about Darkseer to me is that aura items are very good right now. Now, I think they've been good actually for a bit now, because Pipe got buffed in the recent patch, and also Greaves got buffed in the most recent patch. And what items do Darkseer like buying? He likes buying Greaves and Pipe. These are the 2 main items that the hero wants to prioritize in this current patch. He's the aura buyer of any team. Now, what I really like about this hero is how fast he can farm his aura items, and how he can push in side lanes and yet still connect to his team. My issue with a lot of aura buyers is that they're slow and clunky. Heroes like Centaur and Tidehunter, if they want to kill a creep wave, they have to stand there and hit it a lot, right? Centaur can't one-shot creep waves unless he uses his stun, which is pretty awkward, and Tidehunter also has to use 2 anchor smashes. Darkseer, however, can give your team an insane amount of vision. You'll see at 17 minutes in here, we're going to be watching Divai Lama, a top 200 player from Europe, push in the top wave. You'll see after he pushes in the top wave, very simple, 2 shells on the wave. After he pushes in top wave, he's gonna now connect to his team. And this is something most heroes can't do, but Darkseer gets to farm, right? You'll see this creep wave just pushes all the way in, he's gonna get all the gold. Darkseer literally gets to farm across the map and yet still connect to the fights. A lot of people often ask me the question, Speed, how do I farm and fight at the same time? You always emphasize pushing in side lanes, getting your farm up to become a better player. Well, Darkseer, it's very straightforward and very easy. You shell the side lane and then you run to the mid lane. Like, it's honestly very easy to understand and also very effective. And then this hero just provides a ridiculous amount of damage in the mid game. This hero is one of the most disgusting mid game heroes in the game because Greaves are just so strong at this point in the game. So is Pipe. He doesn't have that completed yet. Typically, you'll complete Greaves Pipe around 23 minutes. That's about the average time. You want to try to get it earlier. Minute 20 is definitely a better time. He's even getting it at minute 18:50, but he's having a fantastic match. Either way, he's going to show up to the fight. Greaves up in 10. He's not going to immediately vacuum, goes for it a little bit late, trying to save his Riki to some extent, holding the shell. Sometimes you are going to have mana problems, so make sure you spam clarities, because even here, he might Greaves just to help out his mana pool. Yeah, and he's going to do so. They're eventually going to kite out this Doom and take him out. And this is the point in the game where, as I said, Darkseer really excels. You'll see he's going to shell his Wraith King, and typically you want to pick Darkseer when you're going to have some melee cores or melee supports. My favorite hero to play with Darkseer is Clockwork. So he's going to surge and shell his Wraith King here, and now this Wraith King, who would typically have a pretty hard time killing this Pugna, just won't, because he can close the gap instantly with Surge, and then the Ion Shell does a crazy amount of damage. Like, it's what, 90 damage per second? For a little perspective, Radiance is 60 damage per second, right? And it hurts. So Darkseer's Ion Shell just chunks in the early game. It does a ridiculous amount of damage, and with the Surge, it's very easy to keep it on people. He'll then pop his Guardian Greaves, allowing his team to play very high tempo because their resources are just topped off. And from there, they were able to get a huge jump, and this is the main fight where I think the hero just looks fantastic and is just too tanky for the enemy team to kill. They go on the Naga Siren, and they take her out. He pops his Pipe right before the Doom comes out, and that's going to keep his Riki alive as well. It's also going to buff up just everyone around him with 450 damage of magical block, which is a ridiculous number when you think about it. Honestly, I think Pipe is somewhat broken. I will say, I think this item is slightly ridiculous with how much it actually blocks. It's nearly 2,500 in block. in the early game if you get it on 5 heroes. Ridiculous. Just straight up ridiculous. Then with the Greaves, you're giving another about 1,500 health to your team. More, actually. As he's eventually going to walk back in as the Doom is ending and Greaves up his team when he needs to. I think he doesn't do it right away, but they're all just topped off. So much aura HP regen from both the mech and the pipe. A lot of just magic resistance from the pipe as well. And the mech and the pipe aura just keeping everyone healthy. Like, they were losing the game. They are actually behind on net worth. And yet, somehow, none of them are low. Obviously, yes, the Riki died and Wraith King had to use Reincarnation, but it's pretty crazy what this hero does in the early to mid game. So if you're looking for an aura buyer, yes, you're going to have to learn the laning stage. It's a little bit weird on Darkseer, so I'd recommend looking into that a little bit. I think I have some guides on this channel if you're interested in how to get out of the laning phase, because I will admit that's the hard part of this hero. If you can get out of the laning phase and get to the mid game with your auras, it's one of the best heroes in Dota. So the next hero I want to talk about that I think is pretty slept on is a 54% win rate hero on Dota buff. Very high win rate hero. And actually nearly the highest win rate carry in all of Dota right now. Yeah, Spectre's win rate is actually that high. And Spectre for the longest time has been a good pub carry. That's just the reality. The hero scales well into the late game. And as a result, when the games draw out, Spectre comes online. But primarily, actually, what I want to focus on is the mid-game timing in Spectre's Ags. The most common build on Dota 2 Pro Tracker right now for Spectre is actually the Aghanim Scepter build. What does Aghanim Scepter on Spectre do? Well, let me quickly read it for you. Every 40 seconds for 180 mana, you can click on an enemy and perform basically what is a mini haunt. You can pick any target on the map, click this ability on them, and then you cast a Spectral Dagger on them. So basically, yes, you do nuke them, and no, it doesn't use your Spectral Dagger. It just gives you a free dagger, which slows them, gives vision of them, and does damage. When you do that, you also can then teleport on top of them, basically like Haunt. And this allows you to play very high tempo, because every 40 seconds you can teleport across the map, essentially. It's global. And you'll see in this fight, it can even be used in scenarios like helping out a stun, finish off a kill. In this case, the Doom finds the Tiny, so he's going to use his mini haunt, the Shadow Step, to get on over with the Aghanim Scepter and kill off this Tiny. From there, the Faceless Void gets banished, and he can play a somewhat kited fight. They go onto the Void, don't kill him off unfortunately, that was a little bit weird. I don't know what happened there. But he's going to pop the Haunt for vision. This is the classic advantage of Spectre. This is also kind of why if the game goes late, this hero wins, you provide information of the entirety of the enemy team. When you do that, you're probably going to win the fight if you're stronger. The only problem with Spectre is sometimes he can't get farmed enough where you'll get information, but you can't kill anyone because of the fact that your hero doesn't farm that fast. Doesn't farm slow though, he's got 150 CS. And actually the main way to farm fast on this hero is by buying an Ags. Now why is that? You'll see in this clip here, after they win this fight, so they're going to kill off the Centaur. I think they find the Mirana at the end as well. They find the Centaur, they find the Mirana, they get the Nyx. What does he do? With zero hesitation, Gabby TPs to the top lane, ships out a few Clarities, components for his Yasha, and can now farm the top side. For most carries, this is an extremely risky play, because if their team gets fought mid or bottom, you just can't be there, right? So you can't really make this TP unless your team is on the same page. But I'm sure you guys feel this way, where if you're playing carry, and you feel like you are split pushing, your team is feeding around the map. Spectre doesn't have that issue. It's a major advantage of the hero, and so the hero's win rate is already high in pubs, and honestly I believe if you get good at splitting up the map and actively TPing to side lanes after fights end, you will be the most farmed carry in every single game, and you'll be able to scale better than almost every other carry, because Spectre inherently is insane late game due to his vision and the fact that Dispersion is just 20% damage block. But yeah, we can see another kill attempt on the Tiny here. They're going to look for the kill, and that's just something most carries can't do. Unfortunately, they don't end up getting him. It is what it is. It's not like Spectre insta-kills people when he TPs in, but that's up for you to determine. Uh-oh, he might get found out, but yeah, okay. Alright, and that's all for Spectre. Let's get into the last and final hero. And finally, we're going to watch a rank 36 player play Rubik 5. I think Rubik 5 is something that's becoming more and more popular at the high levels, but I do want to give a bit of a disclaimer before we get into the team fight I want to look at. Rubik is not that strong of a laner. I actually think the hero is generally a weak laner. So if you're going to pick Rubik position 5, and you want to make sure your carry has a good lane, please prioritize the poles. If you're playing on Dire, pull the large camp. If you're playing on Radiant, make sure the small camp is unblocked at all times. Basically, make sure your small camp and large camp are unblocked, whichever one you can pull. Now, why Rubik position 5 over Rubik position 4? Well, I think Rubik position 4 is good. However, I just think that this hero can be played with just the Force Staff and use its increased range to place really good wards. One thing that I think is really bad about the average player when it comes to Rubik is the fact that they don't abuse the fact that you can put down wards from really far away with Arcane Supremacy. Also, a gripe I have with a lot of position 4 players that play Rubik is they never buy Force Staff. I want to look at this fight and talk a little bit about Force Staff on Rubik and why it's so damn good. Because there's a lot of heroes that can buy Force Staff. Why is it particularly good on Rubik? It's also the Arcane Supremacy. This item is particularly bad early on because the cast range just is horrible. It's very hard to save teammates. Now, I'm not saying Force Staff is a bad item overall, just compared to what it could be when you have Aether Lens. A lot of heroes will go for Force Staff Aether Lens. The item becomes way better because the Aether Lens allows you to cast Force Staff without killing yourself instantly. With Rubik, you can do that just because of the fact that you have a spell that does it. So I really do believe that Force Staff Rush on Rubik as a 5 is very, very good. Now in this team fight here, we're going to see also the impact of early to mid game Rubik. This hero just does an insane amount of damage. As we see with the lift, instant Fade Bolt. I hate when people don't instantly Fade Bolt. Instant Fade Bolt into Nuke. From there, he steals he tries to steal the roll from Pango. Pango does a great job of preventing that, so shout out to Pango for not allowing the roll to come out, and he's gonna kite out a little bit. And you'll see here, this is the example of the Force Staff. He can stay on the outside of the fight and Force Staff out his Ursa. The average support would have had to got a little bit closer, and that could have been the difference between Ursa living right away or dying right away, or even him dying. Now the Ursa does end up getting taken out anyway by the double edge from Centaur, but that's besides the point. You can see the value. And then from there, he just does such a great job of kiting over the cliff. Gets the shield crash Fade Bolt onto the Pango. Once again, no hesitation on the Fade Bolt, does not hold it, just gets it off instantly and destroys this team fight. With the spells coming back up, he has another lift in 2 seconds. He'll kite out, just waiting for the lift to come up, not killing himself, having a lot of patience on his spells, a lot of discipline, as he'll get the lift, get the Fade Bolt, and then can chase on to the onto the Centaur with the shield crash. Oh, steals the stomp as well, and he just dominates this fight. Beautiful positioning, absolutely beautiful positioning, beautiful spellcasting, and beautiful Force Staff usage. And that truly is the power of the Rubik 5. But let's look at one more fight. And honestly, I have so much respect for this guy, and I personally largely just agree with the items that he buys. I think so many people over-prioritize Ags and Aether on Rubik. And the reason why I think it's particularly over-prioritized is because of the fact that, once again, you have 250 bonus cast range. It's so broken with these items. It was so broken. It's so good. And so please consider it. And finally, to wrap up the video, let's look at one more beautiful team fight from the Rubik 5. So as the fight breaks out, he's going to look towards the Pango. They're going to clean him up. He actually stole Stampede to help out with that kill. So of course, a big part of this hero is not just the item build, but also, of course, stealing useful spells and understanding what to steal. That's for another video though. Here we'll see the chase come out. He's going to Force Staff over the cliff. Typically, I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you really have to. And he lifts the Centaur. He throws him towards the sniper, can't connect, but he'll Fade Bolt the sniper. It's a good heads up play, reduce the damage of the right click carry. From there, he has to be careful with his spells on cooldown. He definitely needs to worry about getting caught, but as his team goes in, he can walk in with the Stolen Hoof Stomp, use the Glimmer Cape to close the gap, and hit a 2-man stomp. And by the way, that stomp has increased by 20%. So instead of being a 2.6 second stun, it's going to be like 3.2 or something like that, right? 3.1, whatever it is. It's just going to be an insanely long duration stun. And so typically you want to steal the range stuns. Hoof Stomp isn't really that good on Rubik 5 because if you're not buying Blink, it's pretty hard to use. So the best abilities you typically can steal are spells like Ice Path from Jakiro, Light Strike Array from Lina, even something like Dual Breath from Jakiro, just these pokey spells and optimally the pokey stuns. Another good example is Avalanche from Tiny. But alright, thank you guys so much for watching. I really do recommend this hero, or these 3 heroes. I think all of them are very good right now as long as you understand the spikes and what enables them to be good heroes. Hopefully you have a more clear idea of that because of this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace! And that's all, but remember, before you leave, before you tune out, subscribe to the Game Leap website where we are going to help you get to the next rank. If you're stuck, click the link down below, and I'm out. Peace!